Good evening. Tonight, even as the bodies of those massacred officers landed in Nairobi, more questions than answers remain. Is it time that the top man in the police service pays for this and takes responsibility? We'll be asking you that question in a short while and welcoming your views on 8040. Good evening. Welcome to Ktn Prime. I am Ann Kiguta. Let's start by taking a look at our headline stories this hour. Bodies of massacred officers land in Nairobi, but what went wrong? Relief as modern station pumps life into aging train company. Will regional leaders shield Uhuru from the ICC? And Saitoti's widow facing court battle over son's parentage. Thank you for joining us. The government has now directed the deployment of the Kenya Defence Forces in Samburu to track down the killers of at least 42 police officers and reservists over the weekend. The National Security Council, chaired by President Mwai Kibaki, has authorized the deployment of the KDF in Samburu to help the police apprehend the bandits and recover the stolen animals and arms. Meanwhile, emotions ran high today as 25 bodies of police officers killed by bandits in Samburu over the weekend arrived in Nairobi. Anger and frustration characterized the mood at the Wilson Airport as families and friends received the bodies. And as KTN's Catherine Umwantha reports, families of the slain officers felt that their loved ones were forgotten in life and death.
2 p.m. Tuesday and a police helicopter touches down at Wilson Airport. The second it lands, vultures begin to circle. They have marked the smell of rotting flesh, but not of animals. The flesh of brave men who dared to make a career of protecting and serving Kenyans. For the past 4 days, the bodies of these men have been left out in the hot, sunny conditions of Baragoi as the government tries to downplay a tragedy. Outside the heavily guarded gate, tens of family members sit and wait. Most of them don't even know that their loved ones are on this flight. The relatives of this lady say she's pregnant. They suspect her husband was among those killed in Suguta Valley on Saturday morning. He was only 24 years old. It's been a long, hard 4 days for her and her family. Most of those who sit here claim that until the helicopter landed on Tuesday afternoon, they had not been contacted by any official from the police department and had to make their own deductions on the fate of their loved ones. As soon as Khadija Abdallah learnt that her 23-year-old brother's body was among those brought to Nairobi, she had no time to mourn but prepare a funeral, perhaps saving emotions for later. Even as she organizes to have her baby brother buried by sundown, she is a bitter woman.
At least hata tungekuwa tunapata kwa mama ama yule next of kin. Tunasema kujeni watoto wangu, kuna kitu namna hii tumekujiwa na serikali, tumeambiwa nini ndugu yenu ametukia kitu kama hii na hii na hii, atuweke kwa pamoja. Sasa sisi wengine tuko sijui wapi, tuko wapi sasa, ndio tunatembea tunakuja tatu vile tunatembea.
It's the end of another sad day at Wilson Airport, where the bodies of slain police officers have been brought to Nairobi and transported to the Chiromo mortuary, where they will be prepared for burial. At Chiromo mortuary, here emotions ran high and questions were asked.
Somebody was shot on Saturday. Serikali haijachukua jukumu ya kumtafuta. His father left from Mandera. Akaenda kumtafuta kwa msituni ndio akampata.
The police commissioner has come out to deny any fault in the tactical plan to retrieve stolen cattle from bandits at 4 a.m. on Saturday in Suguta Valley, an area that is known as the Valley of Death.
Even the best trained army in the world, once it enters into an ambush area, it's an area which is well prepared by your opponent.
He also claims that the security officers sent to this deadly mission were experienced officers.
Maybe you get 1 or 2 officers from the newly recruited group, but the others were wrong-serving officers.
The families we spoke to tell a different story. One of young men fresh from training, sent on the front line in one of the most dangerous places in the country.
I think mshahara yake hata iko kwa account. Hajafurahi kazi, hata hajui kuwa askari ni nini. Amelewa training, but the government waongee, si wamenyamaza, wanafurahia ama wamefurahia.
In a knee-jerk reaction, the government is now flexing its muscles in retaliation.
I think they were testing the waters, and in due course, they will know the depth of the river.
But the government must take decisive action, and I can report here that decisive action is going to be taken to ensure that we don't see a recurrence of what has happened in northern Kenya in the future.
But where were their muscles on Saturday? Why didn't the police plan better? Threatening bandits who have already taken the lives of husbands, sons and brothers is too little too late. Even if there was an ambush that took out the best of our best, why didn't the police evacuate its officers after the attack? Why wait so long to leave the bodies of the fallen patriots wasting away until now? Why neglect men who sacrificed their lives in the name of security? Back in Suguta Valley, the search and rescue team has officially become a search and recovery team. All those who are unaccounted for are feared dead. Catherine Omwando, KTN.
It is now emerging that the police officers killed in that deadly Samburu ambush were ill-prepared and poorly equipped for that ill-fated operation. Details are emerging that the police command in the Rift Valley was under undue pressure to pursue the armed bandits who had superior firepower. Just what happened? KTN's Dennis Onsarego reports.
By Tuesday afternoon, senior police officers at Vigilance House, the Central Command of the Police Service, were not fully briefed on what exactly transpired in Baragoi, where more than 40 police officers were killed in a morning attack by armed raiders. The attack, the worst in history, comes barely 3 months after 9 police officers were killed in a similar pattern in Tana River. Police Commissioner Matthew Itera, under whose watch more than 60 police officers have been killed in less than 4 months, says a well-planned operation went wrong.
I was taken through the planning process. Everything was good. I think it's only that the operation rigged and the people were ambushed 2 kilometers to the scene.
But sources have told KTN the attack on the police officers could have been avoided if the local police command was given time to plan well for the operation. The raiders were armed with rocket-propelled grenades, general-purpose machine guns, while the administration police and those drawn from the regular police were armed with G3 and AK-47 assault rifles. KTN has learned that the provincial command was under pressure to pursue stolen livestock after a politician instructed the provincial police command to launch an operation. The politician has in the past instructed the same police officers because the politician enjoys a close relationship with powerful individuals in government. The police raid was not to be carried out in the dark. Normally, raiders move stolen livestock during the night and rest when the sun is high. And that is when police officers pursue them. Back in Nairobi, calls for action were being made.
We are calling upon the Commissioner of Police to step aside, the provincial police officer in the Baragoi region to also step aside, and the officer commanding the forces that went to Baragoi to also step aside.
The newly appointed Police Service Commission stepped in, promising results the moment a probe into the massacre is completed. The Kofi Annan-led peace team has also waded in, calling for swift action from the government. The African group of eminent persons wants those behind the attacks arrested. Denson Sarigo, Ktn Prime.
And here's that question I alluded to earlier. We are asking you tonight, should Matthew Itere resign over the Samburu massacre? Please do send us your brief comments beginning with a yes or no to our SMS number. It's 8040. We will be sampling some of your comments at the end of this live newscast. To other news now, and some 22 new railway stations are to be constructed around Nairobi over the next 2 years. Now, these are part of a 24 billion shilling rail network master plan that seeks to get more Kenyans using trains, reducing the dependence on the public service vehicles in a bid to decongest the city. Now, these will be in addition to the just commissioned Syokimau railway station. KTN's Michael Karanja was at the opening of that station and brings us this report.
It was a momentous occasion here at the newly constructed Syokimau railway station, with no less than President Mwai Kibaki gracing it to commission and officially open Kenya's first railway station in independent Kenya. Built at an estimated 200 million shillings, the line is expected to offer commuters an alternative mode of transport. Once thought to be a defunct parastatal, Kenya Railways has been getting its act together with its plan for Kenya's rail system.
A branch line will also be extended to Kisumu. Similarly, we have signed a memorandum of understanding with the government of Ethiopia.
This event is indeed of great significance to us in Kenya Railways, since it marks the first and most significant step towards modernizing railway transport in the country, which in the recent past has been associated with poor services, dilapidated infrastructure, and financial neglect.
Syokimau station is the first of its kind in Kenya, with electronic tickets that are swiped to open the turnstiles. Large screens at the platform announce departure times. All this so that passengers can enjoy a more comfortable ride into the city center. Each coach can accommodate about 70 people seated and 120 people standing. Apart from the Syokimau station, the master plan envisages 3 other new railway stations in Jogoo Road's Makadari Estate, Mombasa Road's Imara Daima, and on Nairobi's Moi Avenue. Once completed, a total of 22 new railway stations are expected to be rolled out by 2015.
I am glad that the construction of the Imara Daima and Makandara railway stations is underway.
This new station and the 2-kilometer line that has been added is based on optimism and a desire to improve the travel within the city, within the wider framework of achieving our national Vision 2030.
The commuter rail system will cost an estimated 24 billion shillings and has been divided into 4 phases, connecting the central business district to Syokimau, Ngong, Kiserian, Kikuyu, and the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. Michael Karanja, KTN.
A couple in Subukia have moved to court alleging that the late George Saitoti's son, Zachary Musengi, is their biological child. The couple wants the Nakuru Law Court to allow them to institute private prosecution against the late Saitoti's widow. Well, KTN spoke exclusively to the couple in Subukia.
Up until the tragic death of the late Internal Security Minister George Saitoti, Zachary Musengi was unknown to Kenyans. But at the late Saitoti's requiem mass and burial ceremony, it was clear that the late minister was survived by his wife Margaret Saitoti and their only son Zachary Musengi. However, in the quiet outskirts of Nakuru, this couple had spotted a familiar face. Sebastian Maina and his wife Elizabeth Njeri claimed that they recognized Musengi as their biological son who had gone missing 24 years ago. Maina and his wife claimed that Musengi has a striking resemblance to their other children.
We want to achieve our son back to his family, his families. The father and the mother are alive. The brothers and sisters are alive. We want him to come back to the family and to realize that he is not a destitute or a boy collected from anywhere. These people are there and they are the one who brought him forth to this world.
The couple is now seeking a court order at the Nakuru Chief Magistrate's Court to institute a private prosecution against Margaret Saitoti. The couple further claims that a case against a woman accused of abducting their son back in 1988 was terminated after they started receiving death threats. If granted leave to begin private prosecution, Maina says they will first request a DNA test to prove they are indeed Zachary's biological parents. With the ruling set to be issued on the 14th of November, the couple says their intention in pursuing the case should not be in question.
Wanasema ati sisi tunafuata utajiri wa Saitoti. Hatutaki utajiri wa Saitoti. Utajiri wake ni wake, hata mimi niko na utajiri wangu. Na mimi ni tajiri kushinda yeye kwa sababu alichukua mtoto wangu.
The Saitoti family is yet to comment on the issue. Ashamwilu, Ktn Prime.
We'll be following that story in court for you. Now, the duet of Deputy Prime Minister Uhuru Kenyatta and Eldoret North MP William Ruto is set to embark on a second round of shuttle diplomacy to rally regional leaders behind their presidential candidature. Now, the two, who are facing charges at the International Criminal Court, are seeking the support of African presidents should they win the presidency next year. And as KTN's Noah Otieno reports, the team has been buoyed by what it calls a successful diplomatic charm offensive.
Deputy Prime Minister Uhuru Kenyatta and his entourage of 3 ministers and 3 members of parliament have concluded their latest meeting with South Sudanese President Salva Kiir. Sources inside the Uhuru Ruto circle have confirmed that Uhuru Kenyatta and Eugene Wamalwa's discussions with Tanzanian President Jakaya Kikwete, their trip to Bujumbura, Burundi last week, and now with South Sudanese leader Salva Kiir have gone so well that Uhuru is feeling more confident in his quest for the presidency. This week and next week, Uhuru and Eugene are headed to Uganda to meet Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni and to Rwanda for talks with President Paul Kagame. Their mission is a 6-point agenda aimed at assuring the regional leaders that Uhuru and Ruto are committed to peaceful election and are working together to ensure just that.
We also briefed His Excellency on where we are with regard to preparations for the next general elections, our own desire as leaders of various political parties to work together to ensure that the next general election will not just be peaceful, but will also ensure that the government that is formed is an inclusive government and a government that will ensure peace and stability. Not just of Kenya, but also of the region.
They also want the commitment of the African leaders in the push to strengthen the African Court of Justice, to address issues of post-election violence, and to remove the ICC from the picture, both for the 2007-2008 election violence and for the 2013 election. Their other goal is to secure the political support of the African presidents so as to counter strong armed tactics of the Western countries and to get political backing for their presidential ticket. Sources also say that while other presidential aspirants in the 2013 race are heading to the USA and Europe to raise funds, Uhuru and Ruto have decided to start in Africa. Ahead of the launch of their manifesto expected soon, the Uhuru-Ruto group is also seeking to build relations with the regional leaders to sell their foreign policy agenda, which KTN has reliably learned is a strong part of their manifesto. Uhuru also wants his presidency to have stronger trade ties with African countries.
We reiterated the desire and our desire to continue in that same spirit of good neighborliness, to ensure that we work together towards ensuring the economic development and prosperity of the people of the two nations.
When they finish with the East African region next week, round 2 of their shuttle diplomacy will begin. They plan to meet with the heads of at least 2 countries in Northern Africa, then they will head to 2 states in Southern Africa, and finally to 2 countries in Western Africa. Noah Otieno, Ktn Prime.
To other politics of the day, and President Mwai Kibaki has said the coming general election should not divide the country and has urged politicians to carry out their campaigns peacefully. Kibaki spoke as Vice President Kalonzo Musyoka and Deputy Prime Minister Musalia Mudavadi intensified efforts to strike a deal ahead of next year's elections.
President Mwai Kibaki is asking Kenyans to vote in leaders who have a development agenda for the country, rather than those issuing empty promises. Speaking during the commissioning of the Nairobi commuter train service, the president says elections are meant to bring in new leaders, but it should not be a recipe for violence and negative ethnicity.
You know, this thing is going to be finished. And it will be only one day. And we shall be finished. And you will wonder why you took so long, and all your energy and everything else was focused on this thing which we are going to do.
Prime Minister Raila Odinga has called on the youth and women to take a leading role in politics and vie for different seats in the coming general election. The PM was speaking during the Ford Foundation Champions of Democracy Awards held at a Nairobi hotel and attended by Speaker of the National Assembly Kenneth Marende and Chief Justice Willy Mutunga.
These elections are going to be historic elections. They can only be equated with the elections of 1963, which brought independence to our country, because they are the first election to be held under this new constitution.
United Democratic Forum presidential candidate Musalia Mudavadi says his party is ready to enter into a pre-election agreement with other like-minded parties based on similar ideologies. The Deputy Prime Minister says talks are already underway between his party and Vice President's Wiper Democratic Movement, and added that other parties are also welcomed for negotiations.
Sasa chama chetu kimeamerika zaidi, ukiona viongozi wa vyeo mbalimbali, wale ambao wamehudumu katika private sector, katika public sector, na hata vijana wale ambao wako hapa, ni sampuli tu ya kuonyesha kwamba sisi kama chama cha UDF tunataka tushirikiane na Wakenya wote.
And in the county of Uasin Gishu, the ODM Reloaded team led by Sports Minister Ababu Namwamba was engaging renowned athletes to pass the message of peace during the election. Among the star athletes who were with the Orange campaign team is David Rudisha and Pamela Jelimo. Namwamba also said campaigns and elections should be held peacefully throughout the country.
If the young people of this country make a commitment to promote peace, peaceful campaigns and peaceful elections, to promote national cohesion, then Kenya will win the war against negative ethnicity, against violent elections.
And NARC Kenyans has appointed Ambassador Mwanyengela Ngali as the party's new Secretary General to replace Danson Mungatana, who decamped to TNA.
We are just preparing ourselves for the general elections and putting our house in order so that we can march on to victory.
The party has been holding a delegates retreat in Kitengela since Sunday. Aaron Ochenke, Ktn Prime.
To some happy news now. It was a day out for the Standard Group staff, including the top management, to promote the newest baby in the Standard Group family. The new kid on the block, known as Game Yetu, hit the streets this morning, just a day after it was launched. Game Yetu will cater for all the needs of sports enthusiasts in the country and will be on sale twice every week. KTN's Nicholas Madimba with the details.
It was no ordinary day for the Standard Group staff and management all over the country. As early as 6 a.m., the new kid on the block, an all-sports newspaper branded Game Yetu, the first of its kind in the country, had already hit the market. The company's directors, managers, news journalists, sales executives, drivers, photographers, and other departments were out on the busy roads countrywide promoting the first ever sports newspaper published in Kenya. The responsibility was not that seamless, as the power to convince was the order of the day. Standard Group CEO Sam Shulei was also busy taking the new product to consumers.
Thank you, sir. The target for us is the youth and those who love sport. And today I was enthused and really energized and encouraged by the fact that women also were significant recipients of this paper, and quite a number of them actually bought our paper today.
What began as a gloomy Tuesday morning for motorists stuck in traffic turned out to be an exciting and colorful beginning to their day. Some were happy to recognize the familiar faces. It was no different in other towns. Standard Group staff in Nyeri were also out of office publicizing the new era of pure sports newspaper. Western Kenya was also upbeat about the new paper.
Nimeridhika nayo na nimefurahia sana. Hiyo yote ni yako iko sawa.
In Kisii, the paper found the passionate sports lovers on transit and others in the business ventures. The quest to be part of the new experience saw readers glued on the paper endlessly. Readers will also get the latest gossip news both locally and internationally. At a colorful luncheon Monday night, the Minister for Sports, Babu Namwamba, commended the Standard Group for the pace they have set in expanding sports in the country.
But a great soccer player plays where the ball is gonna be, as a great soccer player. And I do believe that today the Standard Group is certainly playing where the ball in this arena is going to be.
As far as the newspaper is concerned, I can only tell you to watch this space. To watch this space. We're going to change the way media operates in this country. We want to be more competitive. We want to take our place as the leading media house. After all, we are the oldest, and we should be teaching the young ones how things should be done.
The paper will be sold every Tuesday and Saturday. You'll now be able to catch a copy of the Game Year 2 newspaper, and remember, it's a bi-weekly paper that will be going for Tuesdays and Saturdays, and very pocket-friendly, 30 shillings. Reporting for KTN in Nairobi, I am Nicholas Mudimba.
And if you didn't get your copy today, be sure to ask your local vendor for it this Saturday. Game Year 2 now, of course, available. So let's remind you now, our big question tonight, we are asking you, in the wake of these serious killings and the attack on the police, we're asking you, should Matthew Itere resign over the Samburu massacre? Please do send us, as you already are doing, your comments beginning with a yes or no. Our SMS number is 8040. We look forward to sampling those views at the end of this live newscast. KTN Prime takes a short break. We'll be back with more news after that. Welcome back to KTN Prime. Thank you for staying with us. Interviews for the heads of the regular and administration police service began today, with candidates being put to task over their performance in the police service. The head of investigations at CID headquarters, Mohammed Ibrahim Amin, made spirited attempts to fight off claims of corruption, threats to life and abuse of office that were leveled against him by members of the public. Patrick Amimo has the details.
I noticed that when I was asking...
Mohammed Ibrahim Amin is eyeing the position of Deputy Inspector General of the Kenya Police Service in the new command structure that merges the regular police and administration police under the overall command of Inspector General. He is currently the head of investigations at the CID headquarters. Amin faced a barrage of accusations brought to the Commission's attention by members of the public who think he is unsuitable to deputize the Inspector General.
It should explain why he sacked the police officer who discovered a Japanese scrap metal deal.
Our director directed that disciplinary action be taken against those officers, Mr. Chairman, not for arresting the Chinese, but for having failed to notify.
On January 17th, 2012, Mr. Amin personally and forcefully evicted the officers from office, terming the court order as mere paper.
I, as a senior police officer, I did not disobey any court order, Mr. Chairman.
The complainant is Barbara Rads, care of Lily Investments, and the accused person is called Pauline Muke Wanga. The offense was obtaining money by false pretenses.
Barbara is a U.S. citizen, and she came and complained that some people duped her into a non-existing court deal. And the people were really fraudsters, real gold fraudsters, and we took them to court. They intimidated Barbara, the complainant, to an extent that she was fearful of her life.
Senior Police Officer Marcella Andanje is also interested in the Deputy Inspector General position of the Kenya Police Service. She had to clear her name against accusations of forging academic certificates.
Which high school did she go to for her advanced level education? Her academic qualifications rest on a shaky academic background.
I applied for the job, and it is there in record. It's there in my personal file. It's there in my national file, the divisional file, those documents are not tampered with.
Judy Jebet Ndenda, who is in charge of the Railways Police, said if appointed Deputy Inspector General of the Kenya Police Service, she would streamline the use of police vehicles. Former police spokesman Jesper Ombati, who is currently serving with the UN mission in South Sudan, also appeared before the panel. The 4 officers interviewed for the position of Deputy Inspector General of the Kenya Police Service were agreed that members of the public had a negative perception of the police force. They also concurred officers' morale should be boosted through better salaries, housing and equipment. Patrick Amimo, Ktn Prime.
A 40-year-old man has been admitted to hospital with serious injuries after his manhood was chopped off by a suspected gang of thugs. KTN's Carol Derry with that story from Nyeri.
Clearly etched on his face is the agony inflicted on 40-year-old Julius Kamau by people he says waylaid him in Gobit area of Laikipia County and attacked him viciously as he made his way home from a nearby kiosk. But not only did they attack him, but they allegedly severed his manhood by using a knife they had hidden in their pockets.
Wakanipiga, wakaanza kunitolea nini hii kazi ya wanaume. Nikamwambia sasa kwa sababu wakitoa asitaka kidogo, nikamwambia toa yote. Msema ndio nikufe. Sasa mimi walitoa nusu, wakaniwasha wapi? Wakaniwasha hapo.
An act that has left many mouths agape, wondering why gangsters would choose to cut off anyone's manhood, creating suspicion in Kamau's mind that perhaps an adversary of his had sent the men to attack him in that manner. He, however, could not rule out the fact that sale of body parts has become a bizarre business.
Hii vitu ya wanaume, wengine wanapata soko, walitolee, wapeleke mahali watapeleka.
And although the culprits remain at large, Abita Kamau says he will not forgive them for depriving him of his cherished manhood. Carol Derry for KTN in Nyeri County.
Hello and welcome. You're watching your home of business. My name is Boni Tunya. With just 2 days to the monthly fuel pump price reviews by the Energy Regulatory Commission, industry players are cautiously optimistic that the November review may take a downward trend to the relief of Kenyans, owing to the prevailing economic climate coupled by a relatively stable shilling. We have the details. According to industry analysts, the monthly fuel pump price reviews by the Energy Regulatory Commission due Wednesday is set to take a downward trend to the delight of Kenyans, attributed to a slowdown in international fuel prices, relative stability of the local unit against world majors at the time of procurement, as well as the storage fees that have moved marginally over time. A look at petrol price trends in Nairobi indicate that save for a significant fall of price in the month of June that saw petrol price per litre in the city of Nairobi drop from 117 shillings to 108 in July and a further 106 in August, petrol prices in the city suffered a steady rise in the months of September and October to finally settle at 115 shillings per litre of petrol in Nairobi in the month of October. The Energy Regulatory Commission monthly review, now almost in its third year, was initially crafted to check on rampant profiteering by all marketers. The review the Commission has held is slightly influenced by 3 key factors, namely the cost per barrel of crude oil in the international prices, foreign exchange stability, as well as local demurrage charges. According to some industry players, the cost of crude in October, the basis of the next pump price calculations, they indicate was lower than that of September, which partly resulted to a 6 shilling increase, further cementing their prediction that the November review may bear good tidings for motorists. Additionally, the Kenya shilling has remained relatively within range in the past 30 days, exchanging to the dollar at an average of 85 shillings. For now, though, Kenyans await the all-important announcement by the Energy Regulatory Commission. Investment firm Centum has posted a 1.1% growth in pre-tax profit for the 6 months ending September 30th, 2012. The firm saw its pre-tax profit increase to 836.8 million shillings for the first half of its financial year from 827.9 million shillings in the same period last year. Centum, however, posted reduced fair value gain in unquoted investments of 85.7 million shillings this year from 185.5 million last year, while currency translation differences registered a loss of 4.4% from the profit of 2.18 million previously. Now, on November 2nd, Centum said its earnings might be hit by a court case involving 4 Coca-Cola bottling companies in the country, in which has invested, which represent just about over a quarter of its total assets. The government has signed a loan and grant agreement with the French government amounting to 907.2 million shillings. The deal consists of a loan of 756 million shillings and a grant of 151.2 million shillings. The financial support is part of the French government funding program for the development of other sectors of this economy.
The funding will be used for the provision of digital radio network for the Kenya Wildlife Service and to support the improvement of value addition for coffee producers of Murang'a Farmers Cooperative Union. According to the Assistant Finance Minister Uhuru Odinga, the supply and installation of digital radio network and solar system for the Southern Conservancy area, the Tsavo area and the Central Rift area will be instrumental in facilitating KWS operations.
This support will go a long way in meeting the government objectives of ensuring ecosystem conservation, development of physical infrastructure within the Marsabit National Park, and natural resource management.
The Kenya Wildlife Service will get the lion's share of the loan of 753 million shillings. This will be key in upgrading its system that are crucial to the Kenya's tourism industry. The Murang'a coffee farmers will, on the other hand, receive 151 million to boost their production.
Conservation of biodiversity in Kenya is faced with numerous challenges which have led to progressive loss of species of plants and animals at a very high rate.
So far, the French government has, on a cumulative basis, committed 125.8 billion shillings to finance various programs in the country. These include projects in water and sanitation, roads, transport, energy, finance, education and agriculture. Philip Ktn for KTN Business Today.
National carrier Kenya Airways has defended the decision to form a special purpose vehicle for use in financing its purchase of 10 Embraer aircrafts. Responding to media reports, the airline says the trend to form special purpose vehicles was a tradition in its dealings with financiers as it seeks to bolster its fleet. The two firms, Samburu and Amboseli, revealed were owned by financiers, the Standard Chartered Bank and African Export and Import Bank, but registered in the Cayman Islands. Media reports had over the weekend indicated that the two firms registered in Cayman Islands were owned by officials of the airline and certain politicians. Let's now take a look at the market numbers coming up next in the Financial Markets Review. That is your business. My name is Boni Tunya. Have yourself a good night.
It's now time for KTN Sports Today. I am Nicholas Mudimba. Nutrition, taxation, insurance and investment dominated discussions on the second day of the athlete seminar organized by AK in Eldoret. The seminar held for the first time to sensitize Kenyan runners on matters that affect them and their careers has been lauded by the attendees.
For many years, Kenyan athletes have amassed wealth from their field and track exploits, and their society has left them to make their own decisions. Some of those decisions have caused more harm than good to some of them. And Athletics Kenya, who many expected to guide these athletes, have finally realized the importance of engaging professionals to shape the destiny of these athletes. And beginning Monday, they have been sitting keenly during a seminar organized to give them guidance on diverse subjects, including investments, insurance, and intra- and interpersonal relations. And after 2 days, they say such fora were long overdue.
I am happy with this seminar. I hope by the end of these 3 days, we'll have learned something.
They were talking about the insurance, and these are some areas which we had not attended before, and so I'm seeing it's going to be beneficial to all of us.
This seminar is open to current and retired athletes. Catherine Dereba, who attended the second day session, said it was better late to organize such than never at all.
There is this importance of athletes to come together and get to run and to help each other. You know, when we gather like this and we get to discuss matters, especially in life, you know, sometimes when you stay just by yourself, you miss a lot.
The seminar ends on Wednesday. Joshua Kemboy, KTN Sports Today.
A look at football matters now. The Ktn Premier League Limited has released a list of 5 players, one of whom will succeed reigning Player of the Year Kevin Kimani. This year's Foyer Gala will be held in December. Leading shortlisted are Ugandan striker Dancer Nkuma and teammate Rama Salim, who was named the new Player of the Year in 2011.
There will be a new Footballer of the Year 2012 since Kevin Kimani did not feature in the Kenyan Premier League this year after crossing the border for greener pastures. Others fighting for the Player of the Year award are John Keyo, FC Leopards striker Mike Baraza, and KCB's Paul Kiongera. Reigning Keeper of the Year Boniface Oluoch of Tusker is in contention to defend his title as he faces a stiff competition on the Gloves Award, with Mathare United's Martin Musalia. Gor Mahia's Jerry Monyango as well as Sofapaka's Duncan Ochieng make up the list. Gor Mahia midfielder Anthony Akumu is one of the players who make up this year's Midfield of the Year's nominations. He'll be fighting it out with FC Leopards Bernard Mangoli, Thika United's Francis Kahata, Paul Kiongera Mungai of KCB, as well as Tusker FC's Peter Opio. Pascal Ochieng, last year's winner, will not be part of the nominees of the Defender of the Year award. He is currently with Tanzanian giant Simba, though he did not make up the nominees list. Sofapaka defender Eugene Asike is among the 6 nominees picked for the Best Defenders category. Others are Ivan Angui of Gor Mahia, Western Steamers Jackson Saleh, Jokins Atude of Tusker, Jonas Nahimana of FC Leopards, and Joseph Chikokoti of Tusker FC. Zdravko Legarusic and his counterpart from FC Leopards Jan Kups among the 5 Tusker Premier League coaches shortlisted. The duo will battle it out with the winning coach Robert Matan of Tusker. Other nominees in this class are Thika United's tactician John Kamau and Stanley Okumbe of Mathare United. Reporting for KTN Sports Today, I'm Hassan Juma.
Matters Motorsports now. With the most of the Kenyan National Rally Championship title already sealed, the 33rd KCB Guru Nanak Rally promises to be a thrilling, action-packed affair. This weekend season ender will be held in Kedong and Suso terrain. As for today, 84 drivers have confirmed the participation. Peter Hossi in his Mitsubishi Evolution 10 will be the first off the ramp. He'll particularly be looking to improve his ranking. He is in position 11 currently. This year's Guru Nanak event will feature 7 competitive stages. Here's one will be a 33-kilometer stage preceding the 57-kilometer endurance test section. Carl Tundo won the last month and he also registered to participate this weekend. Teammates Alstea Kavanaugh and Carl Tundo have proven almost impossible to catch this season, having won 6 of 7 rallies held thus far. Ian Duncan and Kavanaugh will also be in action, but even if Kavanaugh wins Guru Nanak Rally, he will not unseat Duncan from second place.